I think one of my superpowers is to make small spaces work. If you're an avid watcher on this channel, then you know that I have moved from one tiny space to the other, and I almost always, not almost, always make the small space work for me. The tips I'm going to be sharing with you would help you make your small space work for you, whether you have professional skills or not. So if you have a small space, or you're moving into a small space, or you're already living in a small space and it feels cramped, this is the video for you. Okay, so I'm going to take these tips step by step, like a design process. So the first thing you want to do is plan out your space before anything. Whether you know how to draw a floor plan or you don't know how to draw a floor plan, you can do this. You want to know where everything goes. Just first of all, visualize your room. Where do you want what to go to? If you're already living in the space or the apartment or your room, whatever it is, you want to empty the room. Take out every single thing outside so that you can visualize the space while it's empty. It's better for your head when things are not already placed to try and visualize where you would want things to go. So it's like a fresh start. Or your room is already empty, better. If you're probably using your old furnitures, there are certain things that you have to consider, which I would mention in other tips, but let us walk like you're buying new furnitures or you're getting new furnitures done. Now you want to get the measurements of the furnitures based on your space. Most times in Nigeria, apartments come with tiles, so you can use the tiles. If you're an amateur and you don't really know how to do the measurements, use a tape, masking tape, sellotape, whatever it is, or even sticks, broomsticks, normal sticks, whatever it is. Place them. If it's a wardrobe, you want your wardrobe to be here to here, use the sticks to map out the wardrobe. Okay, this is where the wardrobe is going to be, this is where the bed is going to be, based on measurements. Something that you will need, whether you're an amateur or you're a professional or you've never done this before, you've done it a lot of times, it depends. You will need a tape. Just get a carpenter's tape. That is more than enough for you. Use that so that you would get the exact measurements of what you've mapped out to share with your carpenter to make it exactly the way you want it. You can do this alone, you can do this with your carpenter, whichever you're comfortable with, but I prefer to do this alone and then bring in my carpenter to help inform my decision and let me know, oh, is this possible to get this in this size? Honestly, nothing is impossible when it comes to furnitures, but there are just a few standards that you'd require when making furnitures. Nothing too stiff. You can always custom make things based on your space. So now the next thing is to get only necessary furnitures that you actually need. So don't go and start doing extra just because you want to have those things but don't have space for it. Planning out is good, but don't clutter your space, because that would also make movements hard in the space. If a space is too small, depending on the size, I'm not sure what size you're working with, but if a space is small and you're jam-packing it with furnitures, it's still not going to give you what you want, because at the end of the day, you feel like you're tricking. So get only necessary furnitures. And also, now this is time that you're buying. When you're buying things to decorate your room, don't buy a lot of decorative pieces, things that you only use to decorate, because you are short of space. So you don't want to bring in unnecessary things. You bring in the necessary furnitures, the most important furnitures that you need, and then you bring in a few decorative pieces or decorative elements. Don't do too much. Keep it very simple. Okay, so the next thing you should put into consideration is making your storage concealed. Even if you're a very organized person and you organize your things, an organized mess, should I use the word mess? It's not really a mess, but when a lot of things are on display, it distracts the eye. You want clean lines, larger surface areas to make your space look like you're put together. If you're not as organized, you can have the mess behind the door and nobody is saying that. You just close it, and then when I come into your space is like very organized and I don't know what's happening behind the door. But even if you're organized, you still want to have concealed storage. This also brings me to the next tip, which is to try to incorporate storage to furnitures. Because you're in a small space, you need more storage. So if you want to get like a vanity table done, probably best to have a chest of drawers done, which you can use the surface to keep all your makeup, perfumes, and all of that. And then you have the drawers for storage instead of just making a table that is just empty and empty under of it. And I mean, you have all these things that you need to store. You can also get like bed frames that have drawers underneath them, or if you're custom making them, ask your carpenter to make a bed frame that has drawers underneath them. That one is one of the best because it's a bed, it's still a normal bed, but you have drawers underneath them to keep like really big things like duvet, bed sheets, those things that are really hard to store away, and they just go under the bed. You can use it to also store extra clothing and all of that, whatever it is you decide to store. So it is something to consider in a small space. Furniture should have multi-functions, like storage and whatever their function is. If they are not storage already, they can be storage and whatever else their function is. So try and incorporate storage in furnitures that you can, if possible. The next tip is to try and keep colors simple. Not just your wall color, just the general color you're going to incorporate in the space. This is something people don't consider before they start, decorating a space. It's quite important to first determine the colors you're going to be bringing into the space. Obviously, when I started, I wasn't thinking of colors. I just decided whenever I see what I want, I bring it in. But that can be a little bit distracting to the eye if you don't do it right. Maybe you don't have a particular plan, but you have a vision, right? That is still good. But because you're watching my video today, you've known that you can plan out the colors that you want to bring into your space before you start buying things. So keep the colors simple, keep it neutral, mostly neutral, because neutral colors open up a space. You don't have to use stark white. Please don't even use white. White is out of trend. White. You can use other shades and tints of white, and you can also use earthy tones. And keep the color simple, let it not be too much. You can choose like 3 or 4 colors and you're Gucci. 3 colors, please. 4 colors. If you know how to deal with colors, 4 colors might not be too much for a small space, but best 3 colors. Stick with 3 colors. And then if you want to incorporate colors, like a color person, color like it's color or nothing, but it's a small space, you can use muted tones or pastel tones as your primary colors. And then your accent color, you can go bold. Obviously the bold color should always be the accent or secondary color. The primary color, the key color, should always be a neutral tone. That's 5 tips. I'm going to give you 1 additional tip. This one is important, but it's almost always ignored. You have to adjust your lifestyle to fit your space. You have to adjust your lifestyle to fit your space. If you are someone that likes to buy every and anything she sees, especially clothes, make sure that the first thing you consider in your space is storage of those clothes, and concealed, so that we don't enter your room and we already know that you love clothes or you love to buy clothes. They are concealed. But then it gets to a point where it becomes overwhelming, right? So you have to adjust your lifestyle. It's like garbage in, garbage out. Is that the right clause? But what I'm trying to say is that when you're getting things or when you're buying things, make sure that there is a designated space for it. Or if there isn't, then something has to go. Or you can introduce extra storage that doesn't make your space look packed. So now your life is going to be based on your space. Obviously, you can spread your wings and fly when you get a bigger space. But for now, you are in a smaller space and you have to adjust your lifestyle to match the space that you live in. Because at the end of the day, what happens is that it looks like your belongings are even chasing you away from your space. So take note of that. So yeah, that's all the tips I have for you today, and I hope this was really helpful to you guys. I'm going to make more interior design contents like this, and if you have any interior design topic suggestions, please let me know in the comment section and I'll be there. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching if you watched to the end, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.